ختم الخجلان. It consists of two parts. Maulana told us the Khatm al-Khajajan consists of two parts. It is actually only the first part which is particular for Naqshbandiyat al-Aliyah. The first part, it ends with the recitation of an ayah of Holy Quran before the second part begins. The second part, Maulana told us, it is not particular for Naqshbandiyah. It means it does not, what is recited there is not particularly recited in Naqshbandiyah, but it is taken from all other turuq. So what we are doing when we are doing Khatm al-Khajajan is two things. You must know this. Two things. We are having one part of zikr for particular characteristic for Naqshbandiyah, and a second part that is done in respect, and with referring to all other turuq. The Tariqa Naqshbandiyya al-Aliyah, it has its own characteristic which distinguishes from other tariqas. And Maulana often told us what the difference is. And it also has an attitude towards all other tariqas, all other turuq, where it accepts and respects them. And out of respect, it makes its second part of the zikr, taking parts, elements from their zikr. So when you make Khatm al-Khajajan, you do both. You do Naqshbandi zikr and you do the zikr of all the other turuq. That is something very extraordinary. Usually every tariqa has its own zikr. But to have one tariqa that makes its zikr its own and quoting, respecting, mentioning the zikr of all other turuq, this is something unusual. But this is what the Tariqa Naqshbandiyya al-Aliyah is about. It collects all other turuq and it collects it into something which is its own. So when you are doing that every Thursday evening, like tonight, this is what you are practicing. And you are practicing that attitude, that way of being on a particular day in the week, but it is your way of being that you should always have when you say you are Naqshbandi. You must know that you are something particular, special, but you must also know that you are someone who encompasses and collects all other tariqas. Out of respect, not in order to gain over them or to conquer them or for any of these other reasons. No, out of respect. When I say I mention his name, I mention your name, that means I mention your names because I want to pay respect. I said, look, this one is here and that one is here, mashallah. That is out of respect. That is the reason why we are doing this. Now when we said that there is something that bridges those two parts, like a barzakh that connects two Bahrain, two oceans, two seas. It is not from them, but it connects them. That what connects the two is what? It is the ayah that we are reciting in between the two parts. Rabbi qad a'taytani min al-mulk. And you must listen very carefully. Why particularly this ayah? One day I asked Maulana, why did you choose this ayah? Because it could be any other one. Why particularly from Holy Quran this ayah? So that it is always recited at that particular point of our zikr. And what is its meaning? Why is that so? And he said, it is an ayah that speaks about someone, you know who, Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, speaks about someone who had been given everything in this life. Two things to be mentioned. First of all, Rabbi qad ataytani min al-mulk. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave Sayyidina Yusuf min al-mulk. That means from this life, from the this world. From the word alam al-mulk. He gave him, so he possessed that part of the reality, alam ataytani min al-mulk. And he was given or taught alamtani min ta'wil al-ahadith. And you gave me knowledge of the meanings of the Holy Quran. You taught me ta'wil, to reduce, bring back everything that is said to its intended meaning, ta'wil. Bring it back to this. But you cannot learn something like that by yourself. And Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, he was very much aware that he had these gifts, both of them, this capacity to interpret the meanings of Holy Quran and of dreams also, as you know, and the gift of possessing part of this earth because Allah gave it to him. قَدْ أَتَيْتَنِي وَعَلَمْتَنِي. It is not that I did this by my own. And he expressed his thankfulness for those two gifts. But then he added what? علمتني من تأويل أحاديث فاطر السماوات والأرض أنت ولي في الدنيا والآخرة توفني مسلما والحقني من الصالحين. So Maulana said, I chose this ayah to say, even if you possess anything of this mulk, and if you possess the knowledge of the meanings of Holy Quran, of Allah's speech, it is nothing if you are not tawafani muslima. That's why Sayyidina Yusuf added to these two, he said, tawafani muslima. Let me leave, pass away from this life muslima. That means in Islam, in submission to your will. I give gladly everything that you gave me from this mulk and from ta'wil and ahadith, if you let me pass away from this life as Muslimah, in that state of submission. That is more important than anything else. Maulana was saying, this is why I chose that, to say to you, if Allah gives you or whatever He gave you and you may have asked Him for it, it is not anything, it is nothing if you are not passing away Muslimah. That is what you should ask for. That is what matters. And it is important to say, he did not say, make me Muslim, he said, tawafani Muslimah. That means that is the most important point of your life. Don't leave this life, don't pass away to the next life, and you are not Muslimah.
No.
That is what counts, and this is what Sayyidina Yusuf asked him, who was given these other things. This is not that he was deprived of mulk, it was not that he was deprived of the knowledge of ahadith. No, he had all these things, he was given this, and still he said, this is not worth anything if you don't allow me to leave this world, to pass away from this world to the next one, Musliman. وَالْحِقَنِي مِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ. So Maulana said, this is why we are reciting it in that part, in that particular place of our weekly dhikr, to remind you and never make you forget that this is what matters. Now don't think when he says tawafani muslima, this is something we are saying, yeah, at the end of my life, I don't want to leave this life, and not being Muslimah. Maybe we spent my whole life to not be Musliman, to be in not accepting Allah's will, to not submit to His will, but to fight against Him. And then at least I would like to leave in the last moment of my life, I would leave my life not in fighting with Allah, not in opposition to Allah with how I have spent all of my life. But be careful and listen. Do you know when you are going to leave that life? So tawaffani Muslima, it can happen any moment. So you should not say, oh, when the time comes, let me pass away Muslimah. And he also says, I want to try to be Muslim. He said, tawaffani Muslima. Make me Muslimah. Don't allow me to leave this life and not being Muslimah.
No.
And that goes for any moment of my life. Because at any moment, I might have to leave. You make me leave. So any moment, please don't let me go and I'm not Muslimah. And don't allow me to not be one of the Salihin. These are my most important wishes to you, Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the face of which everything else, it is unimportant, it doesn't count. This is the message of Sayyidina Yusuf that is expressed in the Quran and that was passed to us by Maulana Shaykh Nazim, and we are made to recite it every time in that particular time of zikr. So when you are next time reciting it or hear it, try to remember, try to think about its meaning. Don't forget, it is very important for everyone. I hope I've given the Fatiha. زيارة لشرف النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وآله وأصحابه الكرام ومشايخنا في الطريقة النقشبندية العليه الفاتحة.